Picture a dog that could barely move. Not because he was sick, not because he was locked up, but because his own fur had become an armor too heavy for him to carry. 3 pounds of matted, hardened hair stuck to his body, pulling at his skin, restricting his every move. And underneath all of that, a heart that was still trying to love. This is Caramelinho's story. Caramelinho is a mixed-breed dog, the kind you'd find on any street corner. Small, scrappy, the kind of dog most people walk right past without a second glance. But anyone who looked closely enough saw something different in an animal that had suffered deeply for a very long time, and who somehow hadn't completely given up on trusting people. Mixed-breed dogs like him are some of the most resilient animals on the planet. They adapt to heat, cold, and just about any environment you can throw at them. But surviving isn't the same as living. And Caramelinho was barely surviving. He had a home. Someone put food in his bowl. But he also had something no animal should ever have to carry: years of neglect written all over his body. His fur was completely matted, forming hard, dense clumps that pulled at his skin with every single movement. His nails had grown so long they affected the way he walked. His ears were in desperate need of care. And his behavior said everything words couldn't. This dog was in pain. When someone came close, he backed away. When someone tried to touch him, he shut down. Most people saw a difficult dog, an aggressive dog, a dog not worth the trouble. But the team at Instituto Caramelo, based in Ribeirão Pires, Brazil, saw something else entirely. They saw a wounded dog, a scared dog, a dog who had never learned that a human hand could be gentle. A complaint was filed. Animal welfare advocate Julinho Casares went to the location himself to see what was going on. What he found was hard to look at. And yet, even in that condition, this little dog was still trying to show joy. Small hops, a wagging tail, as if his body still remembered what it felt like to have someone around who cared. A tiny spark of love that not even years of neglect had managed to put out completely. When confronted, the owner said, "I even poured water on him once, but I couldn't get his fur cut. But I never let him go hungry, you know?" And that statement, as innocent as it may have sounded, exposes something that needs to be said out loud. Feeding an animal is the bare minimum. It is not the same as caring for one. Real care means hygiene, veterinary attention, affection, and presence. All things Caramelinho had gone without for years. He was rescued, and from that moment on, nothing would ever be the same. If this story is hitting close to home and you think more people need to hear it, subscribe to the channel and keep following real news and real stories just like this one. Then came the grooming. And if you've never seen what it looks like when a severely matted dog gets a full groom for the first time, brace yourself. Every snip of the scissors, every pass of the clippers, every chunk of matted fur removed, it was a layer of suffering being lifted away. The skin that had been trapped and pulled by those hardened clumps could finally breathe again. In total, nearly 3 pounds of fur were removed. 3 pounds of pain, of neglect, of lost time. The groomers worked with skill, patience, and extraordinary gentleness, because every step had to be done carefully. The matted coat was wrapped directly around his skin. It was slow. It was necessary. It was life-changing. When it was over, the dog standing there wasn't the same one who had walked in. He was lighter, literally. And the look in his eyes was something you couldn't put into words. Then came the vet exams, the medications, the baths, the proper nutrition. Instituto Caramelo put together a full recovery plan for him. And the safe environment surrounded by people who truly understood how to work with a traumatized animal started to make a difference. The transformation didn't happen overnight, and that's something worth understanding. Animals who have experienced neglect and trauma need time to trust again. The fear they carry is real. The defensiveness is a survival mechanism built up over years of hurt. But with patience, with calm, with an approach that never pushed and never forced, Caramelinho slowly began to open up. Like a flower nobody expected to bloom. First, he stopped pulling away. Then he started accepting touch. Then he began seeking it out. And finally, he started giving affection back. With treatment, attention, and love, Caramelinho blossomed, the Instituto Caramelo team shared, and everyone who followed his journey watched it happen in real time. The comments poured in with pure emotion. "Thank you for what you did for this little guy." And, "Caramelinho, you deserve a wonderful family full of love." Today, he's unrecognizable. Lighter, healthier, with eyes full of confidence. That defensive posture has been replaced by a gentle, sweet temperament. The dog everyone had written off as difficult was, all along, the sweetest one in the room. He just needed someone to see it. Caramelinho is ready. Ready for his next chapter. Ready to find a family that understands he came from hard times, that he's been through a lot, and that what he needs now is simple: love, safety, and a place to finally call home. Instituto Caramelo is one of those organizations that chooses to look beyond appearances. That chooses not to give up on an animal just because it seems too broken or too scared. That understands there's a story behind every behavior, and that every story can have a new ending. Caramelinho spent years without basic hygiene, without veterinary care, without real love. But he made it through. And more than that, he transformed. He blossomed. He proved that love, when given with patience and respect, has the power to change any living being. If you can adopt, adopt. If you can't, share. If you can't share, support the people doing this work every single day. Because animals like Caramelinho exist by the thousands, waiting for someone to look past the matted fur, past the fear, past the surface. And inside every single one of them is a heart that still wants and deserves to love. Subscribe to the channel and keep following real news and real stories. If you had the chance to adopt a dog with a story like Caramelinho's, would you be ready to take that step? Tell us in the comments.